you want to get rid of the bottom?
Hi, folks, and welcome to the Hangout. Google is feeling sad today. We're having so many tech issues, but that's okay. We're going to get it going, and anyway, and see. So we're going to make some magic happen. I'm Elaine Marolakos Edelson, intuitive channel and astrologer with Astrology Channel, etc., columnist for the Sedona Monthly Magazine, and author of Minutes to Manifesting: How to Get It, How to See It, Get It, Keep It. So we're going to manifest a Google Hangout right here, right now, that actually works. And we're also going to cover a lot in the next 30 minutes or so, so you may want to have a pen and paper handy to write down what speaks to you. So before we start, I know a few people were on the broadcast already telling me about how they're dealing with sadness. And I'm glad to hear, Samuel, that you are actually feeling it fully, because we're going to talk about that. And so let me tell you how this training is going to work. Anytime during the Hangout, if you have questions or comments, please post them below in the video. And at the end of the training, I'll do my best to answer all, or as many questions as I possibly can. And the questions I don't get to, I'll answer within 24 hours. So make sure to come back to this page to get your answers. So again, post all your questions and your comments right below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. You know, the feedback actually helps me to formulate future Hangouts. So first I'm going to talk briefly about Pluto, the once planet. And we're also going to cover a lot in the next 30 minutes or so, so you may want to have a pen. Tech is going at it, whatever's happening. First I'm going to talk about Pluto, the once planet, now dwarf star, and what it represents in your chart. And then secondly, I'll cover how to identify your sadness. And then I'm going to give you 3 ways to neutralize sadness and then transform it. So let's see. Where do I want to start? Hang on one second. Oh, and the last exercise that I'm going to give you is almost an instant magical treatment. So it's a miracle. I love it. So please stick around to the end. Okay. Where is the sadness in your life? Pluto retrograde is your open door for going to core. And I might make that a bumper sticker. Out of all the Google Hangouts I've done so far, today's training got the most response when I sent out my emails. And I'm really not surprised. More and more people are feeling an undercurrent of change, and it taps into their sadness. So a lot of people, even family and friends, my clients, I know a lot of people going through some pretty big transitions, but let's face it, no one likes to change. It just doesn't feel good. And Pluto is the planet that represents core transformation in your psyche, and is now retrograde until September 22nd, 2014. And it's been retrograde since April of 2014. So it's going to be in direct motion from September 22nd, 2014 through April of 2015. And then it'll turn retrograde again. But during this time, I think it's important that you understand that the planets don't make you do anything. And I say this a lot, but I think it bears repeating, that it's really key to understanding astrology. You are not a puppet. You live in a cooperation with your cosmos. And the things that exist around you are your mirrors. So when the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, the planets reflect that. Mirror, mirror on the cosmic wall. So Pluto retrograde tells me, and of course, you might have thought that only Mercury is the only planet that goes retrograde. All the planets turn retrograde. It's a phenomenon that happens in the universe to all the planets. And when Pluto is retrograde, it tells me that by September 22nd, you're definitely going to find either a way to acknowledge at least one issue that's been getting you down, you know, because awareness is the first step to healing anything, or if you already understand what that issue is, you might be ready to actually get over that hump in the next month to get to the next phase of healing with that particular issue. So, and then you can move forward with a much greater confidence and a sense of renewal. So planets that are retrograde, especially the outer planets like Pluto, are, well, even though it's considered a dwarf star now, but it's in part of our astrology lingo. And Pluto retrograde, it's like a staircase, and the outer planets have a much deeper and profound representation in our psyche. And Pluto it's like a staircase, as I said, that appears in your thoughts, and it takes you straight to the source of your psyche's experiences on a really deep level. And it's more private and hidden. It shows you your shadow side of the hidden self. And getting to core of your matter, getting to the core in order to regenerate, is actually a built-in mechanism in your psyche. You know, whether you're aware of it or not, and whether you think you're a willing participant or not, and whether it takes weeks or months or years or even lifetimes, there's a tiny detective in you that seeks renewal through understanding and then purging, and that's like the rebirth. That is the feeling of the rebirth. Just imagine the phoenix, you know, burning in ashes and then rising from the ashes to the new life. So when Pluto is in retrograde, I know that you have an opportunity to tap into your woes. And Pluto signifies undoing and transmutation, but sadly, during these transitional periods with Pluto in retrograde, there are a lot more suicides or attempts during this aspect, and a lot more devastating loss, including geographical earthquakes, and you know, it's like the inner emotional earthquake as well as a physical earthquake. But from the higher perspective, a lot of my clients have said, you know, it wasn't until I was diagnosed with that, or it wasn't until I had that accident, or it wasn't until so-and-so passed away that I knew it was time for a change. But really, folks, you know, you don't need to wait for a tragedy to strike before you count your blessings, or you start living the life of choice, right? So now that brings us to part 2 of the program. And let's look for the source of the sadness. And sadness happens to everyone. It's part of human nature, and you need to get sad. You need to express your feelings. It's very important that you do that. Anytime you're ready to let go of someone or something, you're going to experience sadness, however brief, on whatever level. It's part of the release process and part of letting go. So when you hurt emotionally, you might feel sad to different varying degrees, and it's possible, very possible, to move that energy if you're willing, and to not get too stuck or burdened by it. Now, some sadness that becomes chronic needs further investigation or medical intervention to balance the body's chemistry, but I'm not discussing chronic depression. I'm not discussing that today. Also, people who are very empathic, very sensitive, the more you feel the suffering of others, the sadder you get, and sometimes for just absolutely no reason. And, you know, that is a huge source for a lot of sadness for a lot of people, because if you think about it, there really is no separation between us or anything that's living on this earth. So we feel it. We're all part of the same current. So it's important to have boundaries if you're a very extra sensitive person, and undergo some clearing exercises so that you can separate yourself from someone else's or situation, or if you see, you know, something on the news which you really want to turn off. Just watch some happy news for a change. If you're a body worker or just a very sensitive person, you don't really want to hold on to sadness that isn't yours. So, you know, it takes a while, but you can practice energy techniques, and I'm going to show you 3 of them today. It's going to be really fantastic. Now, you can eliminate a huge portion of sadness simply by eating well, right? By exercising, by being hydrated, by getting restful sleep and harmonizing your hormones. But, you know, all of what I just talked about, you feel down, and, you know, where's it coming from? So the first place you need to go is into a very quiet, closed space so that you can get centered. You know, I want you to close your eyes, during those times and become as present as possible. As an example, about 4 years ago, I had a very high-powered businesswoman as a client, and she called me up and she said, "I think I'm depressed." Is that possible? Is that even possible? That's not me. I've been in bed for 3 days. I'm so sad. This isn't me. I don't get sad. I mean, that's what she said. I was struck by that because I thought, wow, really? Never? Ever? So we looked at her chart, and Pluto was indeed transiting as it moves around the wheel in your chart. It shows me what area, what subject matter we're going to be looking at. And for her, it had to do with huge transformation around her childhood and her relationship to her mother. Now, so she already started to feel the undercurrent of a transition, of some emotional earthquake that was coming, but intellectually she couldn't figure it out in her mind. She was already a platinum member of mine, but she decided to enroll in a private Emerald program instead of doing a group program, so that we could work personally and go very deep to lay out a new design for a new life by revisiting her childhood and digging up the past. That's what Pluto represents, really. It's it's the big earthquake. It's the big TNT of your psyche. So we pretty much hit core in very little time. Neglect, horrible abuse, and it wasn't anything she didn't already know, right? She had dealt with it on some level, and then she got on with her life. But during that particular Pluto retrograde, all parts of her were ready to release an old pattern and really purge it so that she could go to the next level of who she is and why she came here. So that was a really fantastic experience for her, although it didn't feel good. Overall, it was about a 2-year progression for my client, but today she's transformed hugely into a much happier, healthier, and very wealthy person who's now contributing so much more to the planet. You see, these are necessary time frames to encounter, so don't be afraid of them. It's just when you start to feel the tremors of a new life coming into view, you're also simultaneously going to start grieving the old one. It's just a natural process. So even if you're happy about new changes, and excited, the death rebirth process and experience is very emotional, and it does affect your biology. And I do like to say to people that we're on this earth to marry biology with divinity, to have union. So as your transformation begins, sometimes there'll be nothing in particular that is going on, but you'll wake up feeling very heavy after sleep, or you can't get to sleep and you're just troubled. So where is it coming from? Well, it's coming from your psyche. That's where. And some folks allow themselves a small room in order to feel sad. It's like they give themselves a little window. It's like, I'm going to cry for 10 minutes, and then that's it, I'm done. And if you're an Aries or a Gemini, that's usually the case. But I really want to urge you to give yourself a huge latitude and longitude of feeling, to really express yourself. And imagine what it would be like to move your sadness quickly, fully, to facilitate any transition. Just imagine that. And I urge you to cry when you're feeling sad, because that's the moment you're ripe for healing. So, and also to talk about your sadness to trusted friends or family, or perhaps you have a counselor, someone that you like to go to and speak with. But it's important that you take that time to get it out. My mission is to enlighten, empower, educate, and sometimes entertain. So when I tell you that getting proper sleep and eating well and exercising a few days a week, minimum at least, balancing your hormones, it's not just a commercial. It's not something, corny I heard once, but it's absolutely essential to feeling happy, and I mean it. So, but what if after doing all of that I just talked about, you're eating really well, you're exercising, and you still have unexplained sadness? So when you wake up, feeling that heaviness for no apparent reason. Now, here's part 3 of the program. You want to grab a pencil. I've got 3 specialized techniques for you that you can do right now to minimize and then neutralize feelings of sadness. So first, and this goes in order. I would think this goes in order. It works best this way. Once you become quiet in your mind and in your body, you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1, what thoughts are echoing in my mind repeatedly? What's the chant? What's the rant? You know, that, and you know you've all got one. It's going to be a major clue to what's going on in your hidden shadow self. So I want you to write that down. It doesn't have to be now, but when it's happening, what is that chant in your head? Oh, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. I'm so unhappy about this. I'm so unhappy about that. Because that inner chant that's going on in your head is going to couple with emotions, and then the sadness will be somewhere in there. Okay, now the second question you want to ask yourself is, what part of my life needs to change? Very simple, and you want to write that down. And eventually, with those 2 questions, you're going to start the conversation around the death, rebirth, transition. Now, when I say death, it scares a lot of people, and they think, you know, oh, what do you see? People will come to me and say at a reading, what do you see? Do you see me dying? You know, a man came to me once, and he said, I don't want to tell you what's been happening to me, but I want you to tell me, what do you see? And he looked very grim, and I said, I see a rebirth for you in South America. I said, I know that sounds really bizarre. I don't know you. Are you traveling anytime soon? And he started laughing, and he just kind of threw his head back, and he said, oh my gosh, my father, my friends, even myself, all I've been dreaming about, and he was having a huge Pluto transition, transit in his chart, and they were all dreaming that he died. And so he went on a trip to South America, and he called me up when he got back, and he said, I am transformed. I met a shaman. I went through all these exercises, and I was out of my mind, literally, and I came back, and I'm a different person, and so I did die. So it's not necessarily that you're going to physically die when I talk about death, rebirth. I mean about letting go. I mean about it's time for the transition to occur and to not fight it. So that's the first method, asking yourself those 2 questions. Now the second method is reducing and neutralizing your sadness is with a mudra. Now a mudra is a finger position that you hold for energy purposes. And a lot of people say it started, that it goes hand in hand, no pun intended, with yoga. But mudras, nobody knows when, you know, who thought them up or who put them together, and they're older than 5,000 years. That's all I know. And the origin of a mudra is a mystery, but the effects are not. Acupuncture and a lot of Chinese medicine is based on the same exact principle, that each part of your body, anywhere in your body, you can access through your hands and through your feet. And they are maps to other parts of your mental and physical well-being. And you can open blocked channels by making simple connections with your fingers. Now, you've seen this, you know, when people meditate and they put their hands together like this in their laps, and that is a connection. That's the Om chant right there, the Om mudra, I'm sorry. So what I'm going to show you now is a very simple thing you can do. In fact, I did it earlier today because something, I was undergoing something and I got a little sad. And I thought, okay, why not just practice what I preach? And I did. So here's the first mudra, and it's called Te. Te. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Te. And the Te mudra is to be done 7 times minimum and 49 times maximum. They're spiritual numbers. And this is what it looks like. If your hands are up like this, your thumb goes right under your 4th finger, your ring finger, and your hands close. It's that simple. And so you would inhale on the open, and then exhale on the close. And you leave it for about 5-6 seconds. And then open, inhale, and then exhale on the close. And you can see that doing this consistently, and some people like to do this and then keep it down, keep their hands down by their navel. And other people turn them up into their laps or up in the air like this. So it doesn't matter where, really. Just that you put your thumb under your 4th ring finger and then inhale and then exhale on the close. And inhale again and open and then exhale. And doing that repeatedly. And you need to give it, like if you do it really quick, like, I'm so sad, and then you start doing this, and you go, it's not working, and you go for coffee or, wine. Okay, don't do that. This is a meditative experience that it's going to take a few minutes. So you want to give your body, mind, spirit connection time to actually make the adjustment. Now, the second mudra is called the smiling Buddha mudra, and it's very simple to be done after the Tse mudra, and do the smiling Buddha for at least 3 minutes. Your elbows are close to your body, and your hands are raised like this, and then the last 2 fingers come down and the thumb goes over the 2. It's that simple. There it is. So it's like it makes a smile throughout your entire body. So here it is. And then you would close your eyes and breathe. Now, some people chant the Om chant during this particular mudra. You can with the other one as well if you're more advanced and practice yoga and practice mudras. But doing this connects different energy parts of the body and can make you feel happy. It opens channels for happiness. So first you do this one 7 to 49 times and breathe slowly, and then you do this one. Simple, isn't it? It really is, and it works. And the last, most miraculous method that I love, I have my Hangout cup here with my smiley face, is called Zen seeing. Now, nebulous method, and it works on every negative emotion. And the only requirement, however, for Zen seeing is that there are clouds in the sky, preferably the big cumulus, very billowy clouds. So what you do for Zen seeing to get rid of sadness or to neutralize it, once you feel it, I'm not saying the moment you feel it, you got to get rid of it. You want to feel it. You want to see what it's about, and allow yourself that emotion, because it's there. So you don't want to treat it like a bastard and kick it out the door. You want to feel it, but if you've been feeling heavy for a while, these are some things you can do to minimize and mitigate the feeling. All right, so you lie down in a very comfortable position, and as you look up at the sky and you single out one chunk of cloud, one billowy formation, and I want you to consciously project your sadness onto that cloud, and don't take your eyes off of the cloud. Watch it and continue to project your sadness. I'm projecting my sadness onto the cloud, or look at that cloud, it's holding my sadness, however you want to do it. And as the cloud slowly moves, to its next shape, with your projected sadness or any negative emotion, it doesn't have to be sadness. It could be anger, rage, or disappointment, or worry. But after about 10 minutes, I want you to check in with yourself, take a deep breath, relax, disengage from the cloud. You're going to feel really different. The cloud will have transformed before your eyes, and I can almost guarantee that your feelings will have too. That's pretty powerful. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to get to some of your questions. So if you have any, write down below is the place to put them. And I see some questions are beginning to pop up. And remember, if you don't have a question but just a comment, please share that as well, because that can also help me to shape future Google Hangouts. Now, I know we covered a lot in a short amount of time. It's very rich, full content, and I know it's a lot, but I hope you took some notes, and I hope you also listened to the replay. Even though we had some tech troubles up top, it's really good info, and tell your friends about it too. If you like what you heard today about how to neutralize your sadness, there are more in-depth resources that you can access in my exclusive Astrology channel ETC Platinum membership. You get Astroblast audio forecasts for each sun and rising sign to help you navigate your world. My members love these. I get a lot of comments on those. And you get in-depth relevant content and life-changing information to guide you in your daily life and in your decision-making process. And sometimes we really do need to check in, what's going on. And I find that when my members talk to me about my Astroblast, they're telling me that they feel like I'm recording them just for them personally. So I do my best to get very in-depth, but I have to warn you, sometimes it's my little disclaimer. My forecasts are not the usual magazine kind of prediction. If you're new to me and you don't know my work, sometimes, well, most times, I like to go really deep. Let's just call it what it is. I like to bypass the caca. Let's go to core. I'm your own personal Pluto retrograde. So we can bypass melodrama and increase opportunities for you. I want to see you with more wealth and health and passion and purpose. I'm very excited about that. So also the Platinum members get to spend time with me each month on a live members-only Cosmic Clues Hangout call. That's also a highlight for them as well. And as a special bonus, you could be one of the lucky members who gets to sit in the hot seat when I personally answer your questions. And there's updates on retrogrades and eclipses. And remember, not all, Mercury is not the only planet that goes retrograde, but all of them do. You also get Platinum access to fabulous focus videos that help you get laser focused to eliminate distractions of all kinds. They're very short because I know people are busy. And there's also dynamic decision videos, which also get to the core of your self-doubt and hesitation when it comes to making really important decisions. And there's so much more to becoming a member. And I'd love to see you become a magnet for abundance. So to get started, I'd like you to simply click the green membership button below to become a member right now. All right, let's take some questions, and please understand, please be patient, because there is I believe it's a 30 or 45-second delay with the Hangouts. So I'm going to get to the first question. Is Pluto in retrograde the same for all signs? And does it have the same effect? Great question. Pluto in retrograde happens to everybody. When it happens in the heavens, it happens everywhere. You know, whether you are, what is that old saying? If a tree falls on a florist, is anybody there to hear him scream? I don't know what comedian said that, but that's what it makes me think of. It does not affect each of the signs in the same way because we're all individuals. And also, depending on where Pluto is transiting in your chart, has a big influence on what subject matter, what are the topics that you'll be undergoing. Now, if you have Pluto, if you know your chart and you know if Pluto is transiting your 8th house, then you know you're going to be going through some deep and profound either sexual re-evolution, or financial, or you're going to be experiencing a very profound inner death with a connection to a different realm. And I say that meaning angelic realm. You know, maybe that's, I know a client who had a Pluto transit to the 8th house, and they went to a medium and it changed their entire life because they accessed their loved ones. A loved one had passed away and they had accessed them, and it was really profound for them. So it also depends on where Pluto is in your chart, and to really determine what it is for you personally. Does it have the same effect? It has a different effect. So thank you for that question. I hope that answered that. The next question. I noticed that people around me are on edge lately. I'm a Sagittarius. I mean, really impatient and snapping at me. What's the best way to handle this? Okay. Well, Sag, thank you for writing. And if people are snapping, there's a couple of things happening, not just related to Pluto. You know, nothing ever stops or starts on a dime in the universe. And also, everything kind of commingles with your karma. And when people are snappish around you, and I don't know if you listened to the previous Hangouts, I talked about Mars conjuncting Scorpio through September 6th, and there's a lot of people getting very impatient or very upset very easily, trigger, you know, very easily. So if that's happening and it's not about you, but it's, you know, you happen to step into their mess, you step to the right, step to the right, and you just say, you look really upset. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. And then you back away. But if they're snapping at you personally, you know, like, I told her I wanted this, and you blah, 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 you know, if they're doing that, then you definitely can say, look, you sound really upset. Why don't we talk about this later when you've calmed down? And that might trigger them even more if they're a very volatile person. So, again, you need to set that boundary. but also realize that whatever they're going through, it's all relative. You know, everybody's going through something. So you can say, look, I know this seems huge for you and you're getting upset. Let me help you. But please don't snap at me. I mean, you can just approach it that directly. I hope that helps. Another question. Oh, and also, Sag, I hope you looked at my other videos, because Mars is about to enter Sagittarius, and what that means is you're going to be all fired up. So you want to go slow and not snap back, okay? Because it's like you're holding it, you're holding it, you're holding it, and then all of a sudden, you know, boomerang, it comes back at you, and then you fling it at them. That's not going to work. So you want to be careful. So look at those videos on YouTube and on my Facebook page about the Mars and Sagittarius. Folks, thank you so much. These are great questions. I'm really happy to answer them. My teenage daughter is really moody. Hey, wait, let me get mine. They can have a party. Highs and lows big time. I don't mean to minimize it, but I do understand. The smallest things seem to send her into a tailspin. Would the exercises you gave help a teenager? Absolutely. We encourage our daughter, Aaliyah, who is 15, to watch not just my videos, but I'll show her people from different modalities and say, let's try this. Let's do this. Now, I do know that a friend of hers gave my daughter an app for her phone on how to reduce anxiety. And it's I don't know what the app is, but I'm happy to find out, and then I will post it later on in the chat portion down below. So I'll get to Aaliyah and I'll say, hey, what's that app for stress and anxiety? So, but if your daughter is very moody, of course, as I said earlier, if you checked in late and you didn't hear that part of the conversation, good food equals good mood. So if your teenage daughter is eating food that does not agree with her chemistry, and you know, our daughter eats really well, and sometimes I feel for her, so we'll say, go eat some sugar. You know, it's okay, because she eats really well. Because we said to her when she was coming into her teen years that when you're getting ready to blossom into a young woman, and your food is going to change your attitude. So if you want to, you know, chomp down on a bag of chips on a Friday night, great. But on Saturday morning, do not come to me with a crappy attitude. You need to eat really good protein, and, you know, we've had her muscle tested, and, you know, it's important that the food play a huge role. Also, good sleep. And we have a rule in our house as well that an hour before bed, all technology is shut off. So her phone gets put onto our the kitchen counter, and it gets turned off. And we even turn the Wi-Fi off in the house. So think about that, because too much electromagnetic energy can make someone feel really out of it, out of their body, especially teens, and can send them flying. So yes, those exercises will help. And also get to my website, astrologychanneletc.com, and look at the blogs. On the right side of the page, you'll see a whole list of different blogs, and there's audios, and there's the time-sensitive link for the Bodhi brainstorm. It's a 20-minute audio, even 10 minutes. If she would listen with headphones, it's a hailstorm, and that would help tremendously. And it explains it in the PDF. So I hope these suggestions have helped you, and that you can pass them along to your kids. And thank you so much. If there's any more questions, I'll just wait another 30 seconds. And remember to check out the membership, because it really takes this so much further than where you think you can go, and it helps tremendously to keep you on solid ground and then opening beautifully. So thank you again, folks, for joining me on my Google Hangout, and we'll see you again. And as always, I wish you peace.